This is BV question time. Something.
Could be like the vocal view, like,
Ooh.
or the backing vocal view.
We'll start with patron questions.
Okay.
So this is a big one that someone asked on Patreon that I had no idea how to answer. So you have to do it because you have more training and you know the answers.
Oh, okay.
So the question is from Kim Wheeler, and Kim would like to know, how does one do harmonies?
Okay, so if you want to sing a chord, which is essentially what you're doing when you're doing harmonies, you need several people. So like if you see a piano player hit 3 keys at the same time, they're playing a chord. So essentially that's what we're doing, but with our voices. But basically, if you ever heard that song from The Sound of Music that goes do re mi fa sol la ti do, so that's a major scale, and a lot of music is based on that. I mean, there's 7 notes, so like the first, the third, and the fifth form a major chord. So typically you want to be in the key. Again, there are some.
Most people want
to be in the key. So you want to be singing either do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, etc. And so basically what you're doing is you take your melody and you're either going to sing underneath it or above it. And
I'm often below Brendan and Stubbs is often above Brendan.
Yeah.
That's typically how we do it.
Yeah, so basically the chord of music underneath the melody that the person is singing informs what we are doing in a harmony. Sometimes we do unisons where we're all singing the same note, and sometimes we'll do an octave, which is the same note but the next octave above.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It really varies.
It does.
Yeah. Kim also asked, do you ever accidentally sing the lead part? And we do sometimes. Well, I do.
Really?
Maybe it's because some of my parts are lower, so in my head they're closer to Brendan, or maybe just coming more from, like, my background was as a fan first, so Brendan's parts are like cemented in my head. So sometimes I'll just be happily singing along. I'm like, why does this sound weird? Oh, I'm not at all singing what I'm supposed to be singing. I'm just singing along with the song.
I typically, if I ever sing Brendan's melody, it's an accident because I don't remember my harmony, because we've had a few iterations. Like sometimes it's just me and Joey doing backing vocals, but sometimes Carly's with us and my part changes. So there has been a time where like we go from one situation to a different one and I just don't remember what my harmony is.
Yeah. I think maybe it's more common that we accidentally sing each other's parts than Brendan's.
Sure, yeah. The other thing is that when you've been doing a harmony long enough, your brain hears it for some reason. My brain does, as a melody. So like sometimes I will hear Brendan's melody and I'll be like, oh, that's what he sings. Like, because in my brain I'm hearing my own part, and that sort of becomes the melody in my brain.
Yeah. Okay, so next question is from Simon Hill, and he asked, what song do you want to sing that you don't get to do often enough?
My choices for that, I love when we do That's True, but it's very rare. Also, my rhythm on the shaker is a little not what I'm used to doing, so it's really hard, but I do really enjoy when we do it and we get it right. And I do love when we do things like Story of the Eggs or Lightning.
Things that have a lot of layered harmonies.
Yeah, for sure. I think those are really fun, especially when there's 3 girls, because we do the 3-part harmony, and like in Eggs there's like jazz harmonies that are sort of more challenging, more interesting, more fun. I like that.
Well, yeah, because sometimes like on the recordings there were in some cases 3-part backing vocals, so when it's just the 2 of us, we're not always singing a complete version of the song. So we have made decisions on which parts we can do that best
represent.
Yeah, represent
The
the
original.
song. But then when Carly's around and the three of us
Yeah.
can do it, there's something really cool about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I also really enjoy You and Your Stupid Guitar.
Totally.
That's a really good backing vocal song.
Yeah, that is. That's really
but
fun.
we don't get to do that one very
Yeah.
much.
Agreed.
Yeah. For the next tour, if everyone could request From Listening to Lightning, Story of the Eggs, and You and Your Stupid Guitar. I'd love it. Next question is from Lee West, and he asked, how do you do notation for harmonies? And I have a prop for this one.
So funny.
Da-da-da-da. This is our one of two BV Bibles.
Essentially, I have changed like a music note into a line, and we write little notes in the book. Anything we sing is underlined. If it's purple, the girls are in harmony. If it's blue, like here, the line is we're in unison with each other. Then in red, I write little notes. Yeah, so that's our book. Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to questions from our bandmates. Questions from our bandmates.
Singing, y'all sing up to 4 voices at a time sometimes, and like for me, I have like all of my voices at my instrument, and I'm in control. And if I mess up one, it's me, and I know how to handle that. But if y'all are like up to 4 separate people, and if one of y'all messes up the rhythm or the words or the melody, like that whole like chord could get thrown off. And I'm just curious how that is singing. Like it's almost like 4 people have to perform the same instrument together, and like if somebody messes up, is it like it doesn't even faze you and you keep doing your part? Or if somebody messes up, you just kind of like oop, and like try to get back on in sync with each other. And is it like kind of nerve-wracking? And I feel like I would be so nervous that like I would mess up the chord and throw everybody off. And like, do you glare at somebody when they make a mistake and be like, that was a little flat? Tell us about it. Also, here's a little picture of Dolly to hopefully cheer you up.
We had a question from Brandy, who mentioned that if he plays a chord, only he is the one who is aware of it. Like if he plays a wrong chord. Exactly.
Like a B, like Brandy.
So we're going to demonstrate how if one of us does something wrong.
There's no wrong in music. There's wrong in songs.
There's wrong in Brandon Brown's music.
My music is wrong.
But sometimes in rehearsal, I never do this in a show, but sometimes in rehearsal, I change my notes slightly in BMX Bandits. And to the part of Brandy's question, do you ever glare at each other? This is the only time that Sturbans ever gives me anything of a glare, and it's mostly a... That's good. So I thought we could do that, and then maybe, like, if we do one pass of BMX Bandits, and I'll do my notes,
So
and
one
then
BMX Bandits
maybe
chorus.
the second one, like, maybe you can
Okay.
add something. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's just do some wrong notes.
Okay.
And show people how...
But we'll do the right thing first.
Okay, we'll do the right thing first. Okay.
So 1, 2, 3. Because that's a real
So that was the
That's
correct
the real
one.
one. So are you
And
going to
now
sing the
I'll
wrong?
do my favorite wrong note
Okay.
for BMX.
Okay,
So
ready?
we'll do a shorty again. And
Yeah.
Favorite
okay.
wrong note.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Whoa, I almost couldn't sing through that. I went back to back to
Okay, now you do it with me. You'd pick another note when I go down.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and you go.
Oh my god! That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Let's try a long
Okay,
one.
here,
Let's
wait.
try a long one and not laugh.
Okay,
Do
okay.
the weird notes, but don't laugh.
You change on the first, I'll change on the second, and then we'll do correct on the third.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and
That was really good. What a good demonstration. That was great.
Yeah, it worked.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan.
Do it. Did it. The other thing that sometimes that I find is that because Brendan has created such different harmonies in some of the songs, I am not as thrown off by what could be a wrong note because we're sort of used to singing weird things, so things don't sound as wrong to us as they might to someone else.
Yeah, usually, I mean, Brendan knows really well when we do something wrong. Like we are more forgiving of each other making mistakes than Brendan. Sometimes he will turn around, and it's not a glare. It's just a I heard that.
Yeah.
Well, we know.
I call that the look of death.
Yeah.
Questions from our bandmates.
So let's go to another bandmate question from our pal Leo Frary, who asked, how do you maintain your voice on tour? Singing isn't like drumming, where if I get injured, I can still play. If you lose your voice, it can be gone for days. So how do you keep it in prime condition? And you are really into vocal health, so I think you should answer
What gave it away? So I have had my fair amount of vocal injury in my life, so I've had to learn a lot of like technique and maintenance things because I've had issues in the past. So the first thing is having good vocal technique. If your technique is not as efficient and healthy as possible, every show you do, so like your voice will swell. So like let's say this is your range, and let's say one show you are, singing with, not a very healthy technique. The next day, your range goes like this because your vocal cords are a little swollen. So when they vibrate, they can't thin out. So if we're singing every night, then gradually your voice does this, 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 and this, and this until you have like 5 notes to your range because your voice is so swollen. So the key, first of all, is to sing efficiently and healthfully. The other thing is like you have to be aware of what are the other things that can cause your voice to get tired. So like you don't want to be drinking or yelling in a bar anytime let's say you're in a bar talking loudly over music, that's going to do worse.
That's my least favorite thing.
Yeah, that's going to do worse for your voice than a gig will. You have to stay hydrated. You have to drink. Sometimes I do like a steamer that you breathe steam in because you have to, your voice needs to stay like hydrated. The other thing that's tricky on the road is like I always get colds. And if you have a cold, your voice swells up, but also anytime you have a cough, every time you cough, it roughs up your vocal cords. So like you want to keep the coughing to a minimum, so like a cough suppressant or whatever. Really stay hydrated, because that can really mess up your voice in, a heartbeat. And sometimes you just have to go a little easier. Like there are times you can't like go full blast all the time. That would be what I would say.
Yeah, when you get sick and you have a cold, sometimes you just have to Yeah, just take it easy.
Yeah.
And there are some songs, again, Freak On is a good example of this, where sometimes if we're feeling good, we each move up
Yeah.
a harmony. But if we're not in, if we're not feeling in tip-top condition,
Yeah.
we're like,
Yeah, we'll
No,
stay
I'm
where we are.
staying low today.
Yeah.
But then other things like Story of the Eggs, we can't really change apart on that. So
There is what at the end, I used to sing this really ridiculous, dumb high note above Brendan, and if my voice isn't, or if I can't hear that well, I go an octave under. I do.
sneaky.
That is one area where I like cheated a little bit.
Mhm.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. We all warm up our voice before a gig. You have to warm up your voice. You can't just like go and do a gig. And I also do a cool down frequently, but I don't know if you guys do that so much.
No, not
Yeah.
really.
But
But I
definitely
also
warm up.
don't have to sing as forcefully as you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vocal warm up is Matthew's least favorite part of the day.
It's
on tour.
everyone's least favorite
Because
part
we
of the
usually
day.
have a small dressing room and there's nowhere for us
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
or nowhere for him to go.
Yeah.
So just all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
4 people
Oh,
all
God.
around him just doing these ridiculous vocal
Yeah.
warm-ups.
Yeah. They stink.
They're
They're not fun.
not fun.
But you
they're
gotta do it.
necessary. It's exercise.
Yeah.
It's not fun, but you have to do it.
Yep.
So we have one more question, and this is from Matthew, and he sent us a video. So let's go to Matthew's video.
Is it okay if I put it closer to us so
Yeah.
that we can? Okay.
Hi, Joey. Hi, Gabrielle. Thank you guys so much for doing this. I've been a fan for a long time. It's just like an honor to get to, ask you guys a question. What I wanted to know actually is less about backing vocals specifically and more about your thoughts and feelings on what it's like being women in a very male-dominated world of like rock and roll band and touring. Maybe things that positive experiences that you've had, maybe some negative experiences that you had, maybe advice for any other women who are interested in getting into this field. And yeah, just I don't know, maybe any challenges or any unique perspectives you could have on it that maybe people are not aware of. Thanks so much for your time. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome, Matt.
That's so good.
It's like we are very lucky to be in a group of
Yeah.
people who are very respectful.
Yeah.
And in recent iterations, we have been the female majority band. So,
That's true.
That's
When
always
Madden
good.
is with us, yeah.
But things that come to mind are, I feel like it often happens at venues with the crew, like people at the venues who just talk to us slightly differently. I've had situations where local crew, who are not supposed to help us anyway, we specifically say,
Yeah.
Wheatus gear is only to be handled by Wheatus band and crew. But male members of like road crew,
Staff.
staff
the staff.
people will just come up and be like, oh, let me take that for you, love. I'm like, no, you don't get to just take this thing from me. I'm like, no, like you don't get to do that, and don't pretend that you're doing me a favor. I don't know.
I guess I feel a little buffered from some things that we may ordinarily experience because of the people who are in the band. Also, because both of us are in relationships in the band, there isn't weird, like, maybe stuff that might exist between men and women, like when people
Yeah.
aren't attached. So, like, that really diffuses any potential for, like, a lot. I don't know. I just feel like that. I feel like we're in a little bit buffered, at
Yeah,
least in
I see
our group. Interesting.
We do get different reactions when I'm thinking now on the Busted tour, I remember this,
Oh yeah.
where Brendan would make a point to introduce all the band members, and everyone would get a cheer, but then when he'd do our names, some people would whistle. I'm like,
Oh right.
you don't have to
Oh yeah.
whistle.
Interesting.
You don't have to do
Yeah.
that. And then that reminds me, women in the crowd sometimes have different reactions to us
Mhm.
as women in a band.
Right.
Like, again, on the Busted tour, do you remember some of the things that we would read on Twitter after the show?
I do remember.
It was this really weird thing where we would always look up on Twitter and Facebook and stuff what people were saying about the show, so we'd search Wheatus, and so many comments from girls,
Mhm.
I think a lot of teenage girls, just like saying mean things about us.
Usually focused on our looks, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just, I don't know, as someone who went to an all-girls high school,
Right.
that just goes straight to my soul bone. I don't know why I'm pointing here.
Yeah.
My
That's where your
is
soul
here.
bone is.
Because you know, like when you start to cry and you feel it like in
Oh,
your throat.
gosh.
That this
Yeah.
is my soul bone,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just like mean for no reason.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. You know that there is internalized misogyny in the world. The thing I guess the thing I would say that I feel like I've learned from being around, I mean, we are around dudes most of the time. And I would say one thing that positive that I've learned, like, you know, obviously there are gender stereotypes and like ways that we're expected to behave. And I think one thing that a benefit that I've learned from guys, Brendan specifically, is, you know, I feel that women tend to be more pleasers and more like want, and obviously there are exceptions to every, like this is a stereotype of course, but I mean I definitely, my natural, well, my tendency definitely would have been to be more of a pleaser, and I feel like being around guys and things that I've learned from Brendan is that to care less about that and to be more assertive with my own will and the way I think things should be. Now obviously like we are employees, so like we follow whatever, but like when it comes to like my own band, just being more assertive that like this is you know, the things that I have domain over, and being assertive about those, and being like being less of a pleaser, I think is important for a woman going into any male-dominated world, I would say. I think that it's important to like be the captain of your own ship, and like set a good example and set a good tone, and like be assertive with how you think things should be. And if you take that into like the Wheatus scenario, like when the loading in is a good example, because like if we're in what's the word, encountering people, venue staff who are not accustomed to us lifting all the heavy stuff, and also us, we are authorities on how stuff gets done.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are not, like, it doesn't even occur to them that they would take direction from us.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in that scenario, we are more assertive about, no, I know you're a dude and you probably can lift more than I can, but this gets done in a certain way, and I'm going to be telling you how it gets done, or you don't participate.
Yeah. That reminds me of another one. It was actually a local show, but at the end of the show, Brandy and I were loading the trailer, as we often do. We have a great system. We know exactly what we're doing. And we were bringing one of the rigs off a curb, and we were going to just, you know, like how you lift off the curb. And we were positioned on either side. We're holding a hand just like this. And I think I probably said, like, okay, ready, 1, 2, and
Oh no.
not even a member of the venue. A random dude walking by, he didn't offer
Right.
to take it. He what's the word?
What?
Like barged me out of the way and was like, "Oh, I'll do that."
Oh my god.
I was like, "Okay, firstly, don't barge me off the curb while I'm holding a heavy thing.
Oh my
Secondly,
God.
you are just a random dude. Don't
Who feels
touch
the
me.
authority
Come
to...
near me.
Oh, that's bizarre.
Thirdly, if you're going to take the place of either of us, I'm way stronger than Brandy. Push him off. Take his side. But also don't do that because
Because it's
don't
rude and
barge on
nobody asked you.
strangers. But like people,
Oh my god.
and I know not all men are like this, but sometimes
Oh my
men
God.
think that they can just push us around because they think
Oh,
they're being
that's
helpful
hilarious.
or
Yeah.
chivalrous. I don't know.
Oh, that's
but-
so funny.
So yeah. So yeah, those are
That's really
some experiences.
funny. Yeah.
So I think that's all of our questions for
Awesome.
this episode of the. We didn't come up with anything better than that. So
Great job, everybody.
great job, everybody! Yay! We'll take patron questions about our favorite animals, our favorite recipes.
Sometimes Carly will take a little bit of improvisation here and there where she'll like throw something in and you're like, oh, that was cool. Like, you know, so it's kind of fun.
I call
from
those
that.
Brucey's juicy bits. Because she just throws in juicy stuff.
She
I'm
does.
like, ooh,
She
that was
does.
juicy.
You're like, oh, that was good.
Just the
Oh, I missed
bouncer
this.
said I couldn't. He got really mad because I walked into the venue holding my water bottle and he followed me through the venue, but I didn't realize he was trying to get my attention because I wasn't
Oh.
doing anything wrong. So he was really mad that I was ignoring him, and he finally had to like grab my arm and be like,
Oh my
"You
god.
you cannot be in here with that." I was like, "Oh no, I'm performing." He was like, "I don't care. You have to take that outside."
What?
Okay, but he was like an aggro testosterone dude.
Jesus.
He wanted to pick a fight. But anyway, my issue was not with that guy. I have different issues with that guy. Squirrel.
Oh, hi, Squirrel Nutkins.
Hey.
Okay.
Was that the venue? It was like a big theater and it had kind of like, I'm sorry, I know you're not the best. at-
I know, I'm the worst at this.
Um,
Was it Milwaukee?
No.
You sure? Okay. Oh, Denver, the Bluebird.
Yeah. Did it have like walkways coming down like in these kind of like
Yeah.
slopes?
Yeah. I can't
Okay.
believe I remember that. I never
I
remember.
know. We
It
should
was
do
blue
like
something.
and we have it on camera.
I
like
know,
the
that's
moment that
amazing.
Sturbans remembered something.